Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to wrap up today with a special selection, which is where one of you tell me exactly what it is I need to check out. Today's special selection comes at us from Bratislav, Jeff Beck with Rod Stewart on vocals. People get ready. So, that's what we're going to dive into today. I don't know a lot about Jeff Beck, but I'm ready to learn. So, let's dive in and see what's going on with them. Really interesting placement of the hi-hat. Its proximity to me as a listener is very close, closer than the guitar. I'd wager this was designed primarily with speakers in mind and not headphones though. Yeah, quite laid back. Those little ornamental guitar ideas, love them. Yeah, really great emotive guitar playing. Yeah, the melody's nice to listen to, but it's also how the notes are being played, not specifically just the notes. Give this to somebody else and the melody will sound completely different. Passing off of the lead. Very soulful. Ton of natural compression on the vocalist. Ooh, key change? Dude's got some range. Also really interesting to think that the vocalist was doing the ornamental stuff against our guitar lead, inverting how we were before. It's got kind of a feel-good vibe to it. Just yeah. Yeah, and see the vocals take lead and the guitars back off. Yeah, okay. I can get behind that. Yeah. So the majority of this track is actually very simplistically layered. And that's not to say that it's a simple track. That's just to say that it's not an exceptionally complex one. The track consists of uh, the drums, which are very sparsely played and very metronomic, designed primarily to keep the beat and the pulse of the song. Our foundational bass, I think it is, which plays one note at a time for, I mean, depending on how you're reading this could be an exceptionally slow tempo, or it could be felt as long, like two whole notes tied together in a bit of a faster tempo. But either way, we have the bass holding out these single notes. I'm going to assume they're root tones based on how I heard the chord progression, but either way, its job is entirely to be the chord progression in the capacity of having a single note direct the chords. Um, and then we have a lead tone above it, which the guitar and the vocals pass on back and forth, and then the ornamental element, which again they pass on. If the vocals are lead, the guitars are the ornament, and if the guitars are the lead, occasionally the vocals will be ornament. We primarily only saw that at the end though. And so we have a very simple song, but simple doesn't always mean that it lacks emotional complexity. And that's where this excels. Theoretically, if we look at key signature, time signature, tempo, uh, how many lines are moving at one time, how many notes are present, it's not exceptionally deep. In fact, what I just explained as the song is a pretty good description of every moment of it, and for the most part, we just have this A section that we are in. The underlying foundational elements don't really change at all throughout the 5 minutes of this track. Theoretically, it is a simple song, but I think when you listen to it, you can understand that there's something special happening here. And that's where the performance comes in and shines through. When you listen to the guitar lines, when you listen to the vocalist, there is a passion, there is an injection of emotion into these melodies. It elevates the song from being something that is simplistic to something that is complex, just not on a musical level. It's complex on an emotional one. Um, the way that the guitarist will choose to slightly delay a note rather than coming in right on the downbeat of, right on when it should be, whether it's on a downbeat or an offbeat. I don't think we had too many 16th notes in here, so we don't really have to worry about the spaces between downbeats and offbeats. Um, so instead of coming in when the note should be, it's delayed just a little bit to give it that extra weight. Some notes, when they're held out, especially with the vocalist, they'll have uh, why can't I think of the word? Uh, Dang, that is upsetting me. The warble, the vibrato. Jeez, God, come on, Bryan. It's too early in the day for you to be forgetting words. The vibrato, how the vibrato happens. Is it a wide vibrato? Is it a quick vibrato? Do they use a vibrato? Sometimes they'll land on a note and just hold it out straight and flat. Um, we have the whammy bar that gets utilized on the guitar to create these dips in the notes. And so that's what I was talking about earlier when I said it's not so much about the notes on the paper. This is not a complex melody to play on either one of them. If you I mean, I'm not a singer, so if I transposed the vocal melody to another instrument, much like the guitar line, I don't think it's going to be exceptionally difficult to perform, or I should say to play these specific notes. But much like classical, it's not about what the notes are. It's not about hitting the right notes at the right time. It's about interpreting the notes and performing them correctly. Playing the right note at the right time is only half of the equation. You also need to put the extra oomph into it, the extra element. And that's what I'm talking about with the little timing things, coming in a little later, a little earlier to give that note a specific type of emotion. Using vibrato, not using vibrato, using that whammy bar, bending your string or not. To put it, it's all the little emphases that the performers are putting into the music itself that elevates the song above what it is on the paper. And this is really interesting because it is a topic that's come up a couple of times on the channel, but it's usually relegated to classical music that we've analyzed. It's only been brought up a couple of times for the rock and metal. And I think that's just because those genres, especially when we get into more technical genres, technical subgenres of them, are really hyper focused on the notes themselves rather than the expression of the note. And that's not a good or a bad thing. Every genre has its own elements to it, and every band wants to do different things with their music. Every composer is different. But I'm just a really big fan of when hitting the right notes is only learning half of the song. I think that's phenomenal because it means that you're making the song your own. And that's what I said. If you give this sheet music to another guitarist, you're going to get a different performance even after they've learned how to play it properly, after they've learned how to hit all the right notes at the right time. And you're going to get something that's not what Jeff Beck brought to the table unless somebody specifically attempts to emulate Jeff Beck's performance right here. And it just adds a completely extra layer to the song itself because it's not just the song. Now it's this performance of the song. And it could very well be that somebody listens to this and listens to another version or a cover or a live version. Maybe this was live and they listen to a studio and they don't like any of them the way they like this one. And it's 100% because of the performance itself. One thing that I hear a lot, especially in the metal realms, is that they sound just as good live as they do in the studio. And this is that little divide I was talking about, right? Everybody has different goals with their music. But I think this is a track that you would not want to be done the same way as the studio. It has to be different every time, right? It's no different than jazz music where you listen to, you go to the same club every week, maybe multiple times a week, to see a specific performer. And you're going to get different stories out of their solos every single night. Heck, you might even get different stories out of their A sections, the way they perform them every night. They might not have the energy. They might be a little drained today. Maybe they didn't get enough sleep. Maybe they have a lot of stress in their personal life, and it comes through in their music. And that's one of the awesome things about jazz is that it feels very personal. And that's, I think, is what's happening here. For whatever reason, everything came together perfectly, both on the guitarist and the vocalist performance in this specific performance that elevates it. And like I said, maybe people will check out other versions to just not dig it as much as this one. And it is 100% because of how these people performed it. Now, as I had mentioned, this song feels very upbeat. Feels very, well, not upbeat. It's kind of chill, isn't it? Tempo wise, but it feels very positive, very uplifting in the chords that are chosen. And I think when you pair that with the laid back power of the guitar, not playing a lot of notes, but the notes that are being played have such emotive resonance to them. And when you put in the vocalist, especially on the third set of vocals, and just all that power, that rasp, that volume and air pressure, and passion, you just get a song that I think can put a smile on most people's face. That's what I get out of this. The more I listened to it, the more I was just like, yeah, I can go out and do something. I might not have had the motivation before, but Rod Stewart, Jeff Beck, he gave me some. Let's go conquer something off of my to-do list today. And I don't know if that's necessarily what the lyrics are going to be about, but that's the emotion that the song gives me. Speaking of the lyrics, this is kind of in that feel-good range. It is a religious track, or has a lot of religious connotations to it, that says, get ready to go see the Lord. I don't know. The train's going to Jordan. And unfortunately, I don't know the purpose, what the meaning of Jordan in the Judeo-Christian religions. But it says, get ready. There's a train coming. You don't need baggage. You just need to get on board. You don't need a ticket. The train goes to Jordan. We're picking up passengers from coast to coast. Faith is the key that opens the doors, and there's room for all among who we love the most. He says there's no room for hopeless sinners, but there is room for everyone else. Now, he says there's no room for hopeless sinners because there's no hiding place from the kingdom's throne, which makes me think that this train takes them to heaven, which makes me think of the rapture, and this kind of took a dark turn. Hey, everyone who believes in Christ, you ready to die? We got a train for you. And that, yeah, it's, but yeah, that's pretty much the whole thing. Get ready, there's a train coming. It takes us to Jordan. All you need is some faith. No sinners are going to be on it. No one who would hurt mankind. He does say, have pity on those whose chances are thinner, right? So, make sure you pick up your fellow human who has not had the best hand given to them when they, through their life, because they're coming too as long as they have faith. And then it ends with, I'm getting ready. This time I'm ready. Interestingly, it is a cover, which was funny because I had mentioned that maybe you don't like another cover of it. And it itself is a cover of the band The Impressions. So I guess there is a feel-good element to it if you are religious, and you're ready to go see God or ready to go visit Jordan. Again, I'm not sure what the relevance of Jordan is, but I'm going to assume it's some sort of holy land. Then this could be inspirational for you in some sense. That as long as you keep doing good and you keep yourself free from sin, there's a train that's going to take you to meet God. Which, if that's what you believe in, sounds like a pretty good deal, I suppose. And so the laid back, sort of hopeful, positive vibe of it all makes total sense in that. I'm really curious what the original sounded like now, because I just praised the execution of this track, and I said that if you give this song to anybody else, the execution might not be the same, and it makes me wonder what the Impressions execution is of this, and how they originally conceived it and performed it, and how that would differ from Jeff Beck and Rod Stewart's version of it. I was going to say Rod Serling's. Pretty sure that's the Twilight Zone guy. Can you imagine him singing a song? I don't know if he was a singer or not, but I'm sure the lyrics he would come up with are a little different than this. Um, I think that pretty much wraps this one up. It's a pretty surface level song with a ton of heart and passion to it, and rather simple on the musical side, but strong on the emotive aspect. So, those are my thoughts on Jeff Beck's People Get Ready. But what did you think? Did you enjoy it? Was there anything here that you wanted to expand on? Maybe I didn't dive into as thoroughly as you would like, or maybe I misspoke, or you have your own perspective on things. Let me know down in the comment section. Above the comments is a description box. In there is a link for Linktree. Take you to this menu right here. You can find my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Greatly appreciate all three. All right, that wraps it up for today. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to do our typical 3-video Friday, the final theme video, the final special selection for the week, and a creator request. Saturday, there will be an album review, and Sunday, there will be no live stream. Till next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.